Still says Hearthstone. That's annoying. Okay, then finally, yeah, I just spam it everywhere. Blue Sky, Twitch, or Twitter, I mean. Facebook, I might as well. And then the Discords. And I posted in the Tuesday Trials thing, too.
All right.
Do they just not have a general chat in this Ohio FGC? Okay, there it is. I think that covers everywhere enough. Okay. That's silly. I had tape down here all along. I was trying to find tape for my filter, and it was right next to my laptop the whole time.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, where's my Scotch tape? They're all right here. I had to get, like, duct tape. Because, of course, I did. Okay. I'm going to do a countdown, and then I'll start us off.
Okay.
Because I'm actually, recording this for YouTube for those who can't watch it and stuff. And, yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey folks, TheKiest here, and this is the OPERI for Tuesday Trials 200. And I'm here with Sente.
Hello, everybody. This is Sente.
And this took place in, oh gosh, I already forgot the date. What was it?
Good grief.
July, no, it was August 5th?
It was August 5th,
yeah,
I believe.
August 5th, 2025. So we, for those who are new, we did a review of Tuesday Trials 0, or at least I did, and then we did a Tuesday Trials 100 review. So kind of seems fun to continue the tradition. So this one's going to kind of be dual purposed. One's going to be about the event itself, and the other's going to be about the series, I guess. And, we'll kind of go back and forth with that, and I'll try to, like, keep tabulating on it in this file here and stuff. So, yeah, I guess we'll just start with, I guess for the series as a whole, for purposes, I'm just going to do a brief overview, because you can find out more about that and the other stuff, which is fighting game event where anyone, regardless of skill level, experience, gender, orientation, all that stuff, can come and play fighting games. That's Tuesday Trials, whether it's Smash or other things. And so Sente and his crew has put on I think, a marvelous job doing that, but, they'll get more into the other stuff. And it kind of serves as the flagship for the Columbus fighting game scene. I think that sums it up pretty well, is what the series purpose is and stuff.
Right, agree with that.
Yeah, so we'll get to the event purpose now. So your words, Tuesday Trials 200. What was the purpose of this one? Or the scope, if
Tuesday
you will.
The scope of Tuesday Trials 200 was to celebrate 4 years of Tuesday Trials, right? And how far we've come, as well as just to get to be more of a party than a typical fighting game event. So, just to celebrate all the wacky stuff that we've done over the years.
Yeah. And for those, part of what I think is important for tournament running is if you state this at the beginning, things fall into place better, which I think did for
Right.
this event. It's like, as we'll talk about later, as frustrated as I got with some of the bracket aspects of it, that wasn't the
Right.
priority this time. But, we'll get to that stuff in a minute. So,
Right.
preparations, and so that's kind of covers it for the origin stuff. So, anything in particular you want to talk about when preparing for 200?
So for 200, most of the preparation was to figure out what people wanted to see there. Getting a lot of feedback from various people. So that was just on the back end was letting the venue or making sure the venue is open for an extra hour to accommodate the more dense event. Drink specials. Let's see. This was a surprise to me, and this more falls into Flair, but no, it actually does go into preparation, but it was on Game Arena's end. So they were working since about the end of December to get a banner for us to display for our Tuesday Trials events. And they were trying to figure out a good time to present it to us. And that was at Tuesday Trials 200.
Yeah, that I would kind of say is more something that happened during the execution, personally, because we
Right.
didn't prepare for that. It was like a Game Arena gift, but
Right.
still, that was really nice
Right.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's already there, so whatever.
Yep. And then also for preparation was designating certain areas of the floor a little bit more strictly, or not strictly, but clearly in terms of which events were going to be run where. Mainly due to like the Mario Party and some of the mystery game stuff. So, and then also just to make sure that people could show up with their casual setups that they wanted.
Yeah, I guess my question because you reached out to me or I reached out to you. I don't remember which did it, but was there any other personnel that you were kind of having to do an extra step to get them to come out, even if it's not just runners? But
no, not in particular. I reached out to you specifically because I wanted you to be there for Tuesday Trials 200, and then you said you would be willing to run events. I was like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then I'll try to make sure that you got to run at least one or two events that you are brackets that you wanted to see there. So, our
yeah.
let's see. Yeah, that's about
I
it.
saw, there's always more advertising that I kind of see on the
Right.
Smash end too, so I kind of
Right.
got that, of course. And
Yep.
this part is a little obvious, but I'm going to mention it and stuff, is typically when we do... Why am I drawing a blank how to spell this?
ADV.
That's what I was... Yeah, I was like, man. Yeah, just extra advertising. Because, you kind of did that in general. Because, usually when you make a weekly series, you kind of make one event at a time. There's really no point in making, a month's worth and then publishing it all at once, because it's just going to get confusing to people. You could, make them behind the scenes, publish them later and stuff. The exception, obviously, is your milestone events. So, when do you normally make, the next Tuesday trials on, a regular time? Is it, the week before, 2 weeks before?
It's the week before, so it's usually we try to publish it between Wednesday and Thursday. Usually by Thursday is we usually try to publish the next week's.
And with that, how long advance was this one?
This one was, believe 2.5 weeks before, I think it was. So, and even with that, we had. Oh well, I'll get into that later
Yeah, yeah.
after the preparations, actually.
Yep.
So, yep,
Which, just kind of like, again, because this is for
yep,
teaching purposes for those watching, it's one of those, yeah, you do that, and,
yep.
yeah, get words out. It's okay to break your rules or whatever, even though STOs love rules. Yeah, the drink specials, did you guys come up with those yourselves, or did Game Arena come up with suggestions, or...
So it was mostly an extension of what we had in the past Tuesday trials, right? So,
Oh, okay.
or the past big. So the last one was the what was it? The 100 trials, I think, was Tuesday trials 100, right? Was one of the
Yeah.
drink specials.
Okay.
Oh, good grief! Now I forgot what the heck was it? Was it the 200th trial? I forget what it was.
Yeah,
For
there was a 200th trial one. I got that one. It
yeah,
was pretty good.
yeah. So
Anything with blue carousel or caraca, however you pronounce that, is definitely one of my favorites to have in drinks. So.
oh, gotcha. Yep. So yeah, that was a coordination between Game Arena and us, like back then, and then it's just been extending. So
Oh, okay. So just an extra thing. Yeah. So
yep.
like you said, we'll talk more about that later. Then anything else you want to highlight preparation wise for 200? That's missing here.
Let's see. Oh, we planned for it to be a mess.
Okay.
So we warned all the regulars that it was going to be kind of a mess because we're celebrating. It's more of a party than so much about the tournament brackets. So try to make sure people were aware that people that were there for Tuesday Trials 100 already kind of knew what it was getting into. So, but yes, the only, oh well, that'll be an execution. Okay, yeah, that's about it.
Right. So pretty much goes back to that transparency we always talk about when we're helping people and teaching people in events and stuff. Is it's the 200th. If you want a more serious thing or don't want to feel like you're wasting your time because you're a party pooper, come to a 201 instead. We'll be back to normal. That kind of thing. And being upfront about it is great. I wish I was a little more mindful that was actually the case when I was kind of doing stuff, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I think that kind of covered everything as far as that goes. And again, preparations is not really something we need to do for the series as a whole. This is kind of why I wrote things out as we're talking and stuff, because it's like there's no... We'll kind of get to more of that, I guess, in reflection and iteration stuff, but before we go on, we do have... Oh, okay. I checked the chat after each major section. Joe Feast says cooperation is greater than competition with a heart. Yes, I agree. I think you can have both. I think in the context of what you were talking about was more about the purpose of, getting the scenes together is more important than the event itself, which I think is important for a weekly, not as important for like a regional or a monthly or something like that. It all depends, but also that's all dictated by your scenes and regions and stuff. It works for Columbus, won't work for other stuff. But it might work for other stuff. That's all up to the players and runners and community managers, I think. It's
right. I definitely agree with that.
You can't... and this is where I see a lot of people struggle with the newer scenes, is, especially as an event runner, is they try to force something they want, but you can't grow oranges in Ohio, right?
Right.
You can with a lot of money and space, I suppose, but, you instead grow what works here, and so on.
Right.
And then as you expand, then you can do other changes, which, we'll get more about that in reflection and iteration stuff. So, execution. I think one of the things I've changed about this part is before I've been trying to do like a very strict timeline of how everything goes. So you could generalize here a little better. And I would think and I guess in regards to 200th trial, you can use this time to highlight what you do differently from like 199 or 201, if you will, I guess. So,
okay.
If you want to take that away, and I'll kind of jot notes.
Sure. Yep. So at the beginning, for Tuesday Trials 200, the very first thing that was different in terms of execution is that I got there extra early, just to make sure that there's any last minute
How specific?
things.
Like how?
So I got there usually about I think an hour and a half earlier than I usually do.
Oh, okay.
So
Which is how
yep,
much for those who are not sure when you arrive? Because sometimes people watch this and
yeah.
they catch you at like 8 or something instead of like, oh, you're here that early. And
Oh right, yeah. So I think showed up around 2 o'clock, so 2 p.m. that day.
okay, wow. So
Oh yeah. Um, I usually I try to get there around 3:30 p.m. Sometimes I only make it until like 4 p.m. because it does take a good bit of time to set up for our weekly.
yeah.
So usually it's about an hour and a half to uh, one to 1.5 hours of setup time between two people.
Do you mind
So
elaborating what all you do to the venue? Because most
sure.
I'm not even sure what all gets changed personally, and I've been going to a bunch
All
of
right.
these too. So
So the very first thing is that we have to make sure that all the games are still installed on the system. Sometimes they're not, due to changes in events through the week or something like that at Game Arena.
yeah, and
Uh,
I'll elaborate on
yeah,
that part. So Game Arena, or the venue we do this stuff, is LAN center. So they do all sorts of PC esports related events or parties and stuff. And the easiest thing to do instead of just having a giant disk space of crap, they just reformat the PCs frequently. Clears everything, and it's easier to start from scratch if there's problems than to have compounding problems and things like that. So
right. So in terms of double checking the games, for those who are running, thinking about doing PC setups, here's a whole bunch of different tips to do. So the first is making sure the games are installed, right? Then the second thing is for games that have DRMs, such as Street Fighter 6 in particular for our scene, you have to make sure that you designate which PCs you're going to be using that uses up the DRM. Street Fighter 6 in particular for Tuesday Trials, there is 5 activations per 24-hour period per account. So we always reserve 1 for the stream setup and then 4 for designated PCs. If it happens that there is not an update for Street Fighter 6 during the week that causes the DRM to expire, the DRM is usually supposed to be good for 2 weeks. We are able to not have to activate one of the DRMs for those PCs that we already activated the previous week.
oh, that's nice.
Uh, Yes.
How
So
long does it last for then? If it's longer
two
than a week?
weeks.
Okay.
It's 2 weeks. It's supposed to be 2 weeks. And I say supposed to because if there's
Yeah,
an
sure.
update to whatever and all this other stuff, like, yeah, so many things could go wrong, right? But we try to minimize the use of the activations of DRM just in case something goes wrong. So, like, but anyway, what we do is for games that require shader compilations, we run Steam in offline mode and then boot up the game to get the compilation to go. For Street Fighter 6, the game will not allow you to boot up unless the DRM is already active on that setup. So we boot it up first. As soon as the game launches, that's when the DRM is already activated. You shut down the game, then go to offline mode, and then restart the game again, and it'll start compiling the shaders.
Oh man,
So,
what a headache.
oh, oh yeah, it's a headache. It's a headache and a half. Then, just on top of that, because of all the different unlocks and stuff like that that we have for the account, uh, we go back online after the shaders compile, just so that it'll make sure that it's downloaded and got all the cloud or all the account activation items for like character unlocks, stage unlocks, costumes, and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's actually an involved process. So this is part of the reason why it takes a while to set up, make sure that we double check and set up everything, right?
Yeah,
So
percentage wise, is this like 80% of your setup? You think?
I would say it's probably easily 40%.
Okay.
Easily 40% of our setup time. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
is doing that.
Well,
So
for those who are listening to this, you know, definitely give their team a shout out for coming in to do this so that you guys have PC setups so you guys don't have to bring equipment. A lot of events
yeah,
don't have stuff supplied, and so then people have to bring hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars worth of equipment in order to like even run a 10-man bracket and stuff. And so, shout outs for your team doing all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, it's just a lot of little work there. The rest of it is mostly just almost every other game. There's very, very few games that have DRM. Street Fighter
sure,
6 is the big one, but the rest is just making sure that the games are all installed on all the PCs. The reason I do that, even though we generally designate certain PCs for certain games through the night, is because it's a backup process to make everything run smooth, so that any station could be or can be switched over to any game, just in case something happens. So um, that has helped us tremendously in the past in terms of our flexibility, so that we have maximum number of stations possible. Um,
yeah, and I'll comment on that later.
yeah,
Actually, no, I can comment on that now because that actually happened during the event where I was running SF4. One of the setups kept freezing at SF4, but hey, it was already
yeah,
installed on every computer, so it was easy to just go to the other one and stuff. So
right, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So
What about physical setup?
so
we'll talk about
yeah.
of the series first. So what do you
Yeah.
guys normally do?
So for physical setups, what we need to do is set up uh, speakers for what's it for 10 of the PC setups. Upstairs, we have to set up tables and monitors and speakers and power strips. Also power strips downstairs too for those speakers. But for the Smash setups. And then there is what we consider, we designate like the casual area up front. We set up tables, move chairs, tables, set up another table, power strips, monitors, and speakers. That way, that Game Arena is very generous with allowing us to use their extra speakers and monitors, so that players only have to bring their consoles
Right.
and HDMI cables, and that's it. So um, all of that takes, I would say, 45 minutes or so to an hour for that. So the rest of the time after the physical setup is software checking. Um,
Which you already went over.
not quite. There's another section of the software checking.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
So
before we get to that part, I guess it's
yeah,
more going back to the
yeah.
physical stuff. What was different with 300
So
or
in terms of
200?
300,
You did it
so
too. I called it
or
300. It's
sorry,
not.
300, 200. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
200. Sorry. So for 200, um, what we had done differently is, oh wait, did we move this? No, no, the stream
Well,
is still upstairs. Okay. So
I guess the
yeah,
easier one is like the Mario Party area
right, yeah,
versus.
yeah, yeah. So the Mario Party was downstairs, utilizing about, I would say about half of the what was usually designated as the casual space. We moved some of the casual space over to the opposite side of the ground floor, where usually the Nintendo Switch area is. We already got approval from Game Arena to use that area for our events, so they adjusted their customers over to other areas of the venue. Um, we had another stream set upstairs. Right when you walk in, you go straight up the stairs. That was for mic drop stream, I believe. Um,
Yeah, I could have
in
told
the
it was
balcony
Mike's
area.
drop or Quaggles, but either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably.
Uh,
I believe you that you say it's Mike drop because it's your event. But yeah,
yeah, I think it was.
they
I think it
probably
was
they
like
probably
it
help
might have
each
been
other. I
both
just
those.
know Quaggles was running
Right.
at one point, and maybe it's because Mike drop was in a game or bathroom
Oh,
break
okay,
or something.
gotcha.
So
It
uh,
might have actually been both of them. I don't know. It might have been both in terms of doing that. I do know that Mike Drop specifically requested if he would be able to stream. I said yes. So
mhm.
let's see. Um,
And then
what else?
I guess the other thing was my area. Kind of, it's the remaining casual area was like for PS5s.
Right. Yep. Yes, and that was most for PS5s because of Tekken. So because Tekken players would rather play on the PS5s because of frame dropping or whatever on the PCs or input dropping.
Yep,
So
always been a problem.
yeah, unfortunately, it'd solve so many issues at Tuesday Trials if we
Right,
could.
there'd be you would. I don't even want to think about the DRM crap with Tekken.
I know. Yeah. So.
And then you probably have to like change settings and stuff to make it consistent with
Right.
Tekken, anyways.
Yep. Yep. We actually have a saved what our settings should be on the PCs for separately so that we know what we need to change it to for setups for Tekken if we're running Tekken on
Okay,
PC.
and then I guess the final part before we get too more into this was
Yep.
the remaining part of your setup is like. You said
Yep. Software checking. Yep. So the fastest way to do this, even though it's going to make the PC scream at you, is to launch every single game that you're going to be using on that PC all at once. And then you have to go in and to the volume mixer and set each of the game's sound output to the correct sound output device. This prevents PlayStation controllers from stealing the volume or the sound.
Got it.
Also, this at the same time double checks to make sure that each game actually launches because there have been times where Game Arena did something to their setups or whatnot, and the files are missing for the game. And so it won't launch or it'll crash. And then you have to go and do verify integrity. If we have to do that, it like probably makes the setup for that particular station about 5 times longer.
Good lord.
So
did you have to do anything special for 200 regarding that, or all that kind of was the
not
same?
special? Not special. There was one station in particular that tends to happen with, and it happened again there.
Wow.
So that was
But
already.
you already know about it though, so it's not as big.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Yeah. But
okay.
that's about it
so
in terms of that.
Now we'll get to the actual like running of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't remember. Did we start? We started some brackets early and then did our announcement thing, right?
Yes. So the 2 brackets that started was Rivals of Ether 2 and Mystery Game. Because that starts at 6 and at 6:15. Respectively. So, and then we did the announcements right at 6:30. The reason it was chosen for 6:30 is because that is when a lot of people are finally there. That's because of preparation for Street Fighter 6 bracket at 6:30. So,
yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
And then during that time is when we did our little. You did your little speech. I did my little speech. Pretty much we were thanking the staff and the players, and Game Arena did their gift, which was awesome.
Yes, I know. That was wow. That was a surprise. I was not expecting that at all. So now we get to use that every Tuesday trials for that banner, and it's great. It's actually pretty awesome. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Let's see. We did a group photo and all that stuff too.
Right.
So yeah.
And then we did the other.
Yep.
Okay, and then sub games were a little late, but like you said, party thing. Like I know I was it was due to setup issue and late players, but there was going to be late players anyway, and we're just going to put the ones I knew of.
Yep.
Which SF6 or SF4 will talk a little more in reflection and stuff, but
oh yeah, definitely.
Essentially, the easy thing is SF4 went from 14 entrants at 6, or it was at like 550.
Yeah.
And then there was 34 entrants at 610. And I'm like, and then it was one setup at first, so we had to like, we'll talk. So we did eventually get to 4, but at that point everything was already clogged up, and
Yeah.
cogged and so on. You know, Mario Party did its thing.
Yeah.
That was fun. The Major and the others brought in costumes or onesies of the characters they were playing as. So that we had a Yoshi, a Donkey Kong, and Major wore a Princess Toadstool dress.
Yeah.
He looked he looked kind of cute. I don't know, but just he pulled off the costume and the wig and
Yep.
worked for it.
So yeah, they did.
I'm trying to think what else, because all of the other events kind of.
So Uni 2 started late. Let's see, that was due to bracket conflict. I didn't realize until a little late. So
Was it like the seating was bad, or?
no, it wasn't seating. The TO that was so Jushichi usually runs Uni 2, but he was in mystery game and I didn't realize it at the time and I should have caught it.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so
Well, the TOs were having fun. I'll just put that because
yeah,
it's a party.
Yep, it's a party. So yep. Let's see what else started late.
Was Strive on time?
Strive was on time but started slow and then sped up very quickly afterwards.
Yeah, but in my opinion,
yeah,
as long as things start on time, it's all good.
Yeah.
Because that kind of I wanted to emphasize that here because despite everything else being beforehand, usually you get a waterfall effect where like if one's or domino effect, one's bad, the others are late, but your team kept things moving on their start times regardless.
Right.
So
yeah.
Whereas it's honestly okay in our industry to do that. I still think you should like strive for it, but it's like no one was going to be like, oh, okay, makes sense. Strive's late because everything else is late. And most players and TOs are cool with that. I think one should push against it. It's kind of like that's because that's progress, you know.
Right. Yep.
And even though it's still a party, you could have gone even later, but you didn't.
Yes.
That's the thing. Because people still want to play bracket because that's why they're going to Tuesday Trials 200 to begin with. It's like it's the 200th one, not a FGC party. We could have done that at my place or something, or run out of
exactly.
It's like
exactly.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, Smash was good.
Yeah, Smash ran smooth.
Rivals was good. Yeah, and then we have our usual conflict thing to help out and stuff, but But I guess that's the next point is start.gg failures.
Yes.
That was
yeah.
massive. I don't know if it was like a caching issue, but the point is that I'll explain it best is you come up with your bracket and you have your scores and everything's reported in, and then the site gets a little slow, and normally the cure to that is you refresh the page. When you refresh the page, it like didn't display anything you did for the last like almost 2 to 3 rounds of reporting. And people didn't know that's what was happening, and we operate, and this is, I guess, like a kink in our armor, if you will, because I think our operation's really good with how we run stuff. I'm not the only one reporting matches for Tekken. Sentei's not the only one reporting matches for Virtual Fighter. We have it so that anyone who's at a computer can report scores and so on, and call matches because our TOs are going to be, you know, taking a break because they need a bathroom break, or they're in matches themselves, especially when it's the 200th Tuesday Trials. Us TOs want to play more than usual too. Like heck, we even had Matchstick Melee playing, which was incredible.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah,
love seeing that.
Right, because that's the whole point of this. So people would then call matches again that already got played, and people are like, "We already played that guy," or they've been waiting for stuff. And the only way to fix it was to like click on each match to like display it.
Yes,
and once you did that,
literally
good lord, yeah, you were gonna say.
This was literally the first time I've ever seen this particular issue on StartGG, and it wasn't just at Tuesday Trials 200. When I got home on a separate PC, I was still experiencing the same thing.
Oh, good lord.
The next week on Tuesday Trials 201, it was still happening, but at a lesser rate. So that was weird. So.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. So
I wonder if our guys had problems with that on Wednesdays, because I missed the next 2 Donatos because I did like a month straight of stuff. Um, yeah, that was miserable because like because
Yes.
it wasn't
Oh my
just
gosh.
on it was clearly on their end
Right.
because people would be going on their phones and being like, "Hey, my score didn't get reported," or "I
Yep.
already played this," and then that would interrupt our flow, and it just kind of cascaded. But despite that, Strive was still on time,
Yep.
and it was still slow, which we'll get to that.
Right.
I don't think anything else really catastrophic happened compared to other events. Like we didn't have any thefts, we didn't have any like power issues, we didn't have
Right. Yep.
any issues with the kitchen or with customers, or the setups really. Besides, like the one that always gives problems. I think the only thing I can kind of mildly mention is more about controller stuff, where it's just like we had someone whose controller just did not work on two PCs, a PS5 and a laptop and an Xbox, and it's like we have all these converters and it still didn't work on any of that stuff, and it's like what are you doing?
Right.
We kind of want everyone to show up, but at the same time, there's like only so much we can do, and but at the
Right.
same time, it wasn't like our main game, so we were fine with it. But it was just kind of interesting. And then when did we finally wrap up though? Because it was kind of late.
It was late. I think we signed off at like 1:15 or 1:20, I think it
And that was
was.
for
We did-
Strive, right? I'm trying to remember
Well,
what the final game was.
the final game was Strive.
Yeah,
And I think we wrapped up our live stream with you and me at like 1:15. I
yeah,
think Strive Grands ended at like probably like 1:05 or something like that. It was
right.
just
And then we
after
did
one.
like a quick
So,
10-minute thing. Yep.
yep.
Um, that's more has to do with just all the conflicts and so many people were in SF4 that were in everything,
Yep.
and it was just. But it was but when you think about it, it's a normal Tuesday trials in that there's 12, 14 games sometimes
Yes.
in a less than 6 hour period. Which,
Yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
and it's more party focused. And
Right.
I'll get more into that into the other review stuff. So and I'll
Right.
just no, I won't even put it in here. Like this still felt like a Tuesday trials from like an execution standpoint. It's just you add more
Mhm.
stuff, you have more people. It's the same
Yep.
formula. That's all it really was. It's a shuffling a 52 deck of cards and dealing them out smoothly, properly. You're adding 20 more cards to the pile, and you get used
Right.
to it eventually. But it's going to be slower to deal out the cards. But
Yep.
and it goes back to this is why it's so important with transparency. You say this at the beginning, like, hey, this
Yep.
is the big one. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I guess the last part I'll end on is just the entrant count. Normally, how much does a regular Tuesday trials get these days on average?
On average, we get just over 90. So,
And then how many were at this one? And you can include DQs with this because I'm kind of doing that with
oh,
this part.
I believe it was 147. Let me double check that.
Right, and that's close enough.
Yeah.
I wanted an approximate number.
Yeah.
The point is that
Yeah.
it's more than a 50% increase in attendance.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So it's like it's massive, and tournaments get difficult as you increase scale, but I still think you can kind of plan for that increase in stuff. But there is a jump between 100 to from like 90 to 100. There is a jump, even if it's like spread across multiple events and stuff. You just start to feel it more in the venue.
Yep.
Like I think the execution of it won't change, but the atmosphere and the players kind of like something clicks and they go like, oh, there's 100 people in here, and you get more spread out, you get more panicky. We had some, we'll talk about more of that in reflections with size stuff. So, okay. Anything else on execution?
On execution, not to my knowledge. I think I hit everything that I can remember. Yep.
And then it was the Toriyama Memorial over again from Nigmus in the chat.
Oh yes, yeah, yep. That one was, wow. That was
I don't get it.
came out from left field. So, just a quick overview of what happened. Toriyama, died,
Right.
and then we held a Toriyama Memorial Bracket by running Dragon Ball Fighters. At first, the entrance was somewhere around like
Oh.
8 or 10, and then it ballooned to like 40.
Okay, same as. Okay, I understand now.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
now I know where I can put that comment in this and stuff.
Yes. So it just ballooned to 40 instantly. Right the day, like right before the event. So
Yeah, that's pretty great though, to be honest. It's like
yeah, yeah,
it's like and I guess I'll kind of start that with like the reflection part. It's like um I'm so grateful for our scene showing up to stuff. It's like we getting 90 for just Tuesdays, and Columbus has 4 other weekly events that happen in the city sometimes, and that's like, and I'm rounding down because there's other one-offs and bi-weekly stuff that are inconsistent. So when you take that number, we're getting around like 200, almost 200 unique people a week on a good day, and we hit 140 in one location for like
yes,
a big event, and that's fantastic. So it's kind of like wanted to definitely put that in, which is awesome. And that kind of goes into the whole scope. We're celebrating 4 years of Tuesday Trials, which is kind of almost celebrating 4 years of the Columbus Fighting Games in itself, because this is kind of the new flagship event. Well, not new, but is the flagship event these days. So it's kind of like, yeah. And they definitely all had a great time and had fun and stuff. I guess the part that kind of stunk, though, and I want to address this part before we get into other particulars, is we did have some new players get shafted.
yes, yes, yep.
Because they just did, because, you know, it's a party they weren't invited to, essentially.
Right.
Or it's a party they didn't know about, so they went there for an actual
Yeah.
tournament, and we had a new guy for Tekken. I don't know if we'll see him, because he might have thought that everything was going to be like this going forward, and I didn't get a chance to tell him
Right.
about the other stuff, but it's like, yeah,
Right.
we had all that stuff. The other part was like the size. People don't really think about it until it actually happens, because you're like, oh yeah, it's another Tuesday Trials. Of course, I'll show up, and then you're comfortable with 80 people, but you're not comfortable with
Yep.
140 people.
Right.
So we did have some DQs due to stress of size, and this, for those who aren't part of Columbus that are watching this video, this is one of the main reasons why we don't just combine everything into one giant event every week. We could do that. We could find a venue that could fit 300 and probably get it cheap enough to where we could just meet there every night, and we don't have to have any other events in the city. That does not work for our community. They want the size, they want the intimacy, they want the way I always describe it is, you could have everyone live in a barn in your family, or everyone could get their own rooms and then come together for dinner time as a family, but they still get their own private space and rooms and stuff. So the way Columbus is built is Tuesday Trials is like the master bedroom, and then you have Donato's being that like small closet room study area. Then you might have the Melee room be the playpen. I'm just kidding, Melee. It's not the playpen, but the point is, they're all the different rooms, and then that way, when you have your larger stuff like your Saturday Trials, your Kakato, your Cost, Melee's working on something bigger, but they've always in between different things. That's when you have that in your dining room or your living room. And, you know, if you're not interested in that, you just stay in your room. Like when Melee has a big event, SF6 will just stay in their Tuesday Trials rooms. That's cool too. But the point is that's kind of when you have it opened up to your guests and everyone else. And I think you keep that intimacy there, and it's great. And you get to go whichever room you want. We don't care. We're not strict on that stuff. There's obviously no weird player cap or requirements. I also know we're blessed with being able to do this, because this was something we built up to. Everything did happen at one place at Donato's back in the 2010s. And the venues before that, we all tried, hey, always at the same spot for all scenes. And it did work for the time, and then we just grew too big, and everyone has their own cultural differences across games, which I think is fascinating. Nothing wrong with it. And then we come together when it really matters and stuff. We did have Melee players show up to play in some of these fighting games, for example, at Trials. We didn't get all of them because it's obviously the same day as their stuff. Um, but yeah, just wanted to tangent that part. I think larger cities maybe try it, even if it means your size of your events are 1 week you might get 8, another week, or one event might get 8, another event might get 10, and it's like, well, if they were together, there'd be a 20-man event. I would argue, yes, but the 20-man events are harder to get venues for, and the players aren't really going to interact with each other anyway unless it's those games. And the players that do really want to compete and interact, they'll go to all of them, because we do get some players that are just bonkers and they somehow go to everything, and it's like, how am I seeing you
Yes.
at the Melee weekly and Donato's fight night? It's like, oh, well, I was done there and then I came over to hang out. It's like, well, okay. It's like, but they have
Yep.
that, but it happens though. Fun times. But so when the party happens, some people just want to go to their room, and that's kind of what happened here. Is long story short.
Yep.
And my point is, you look at the big picture. I try to look at not how many players go to each event weekly. It's more about, and I kind of spoke about this before, it's how many players in Columbus are going to something in a week. And you take
Right.
that whole number, and that's where that number gets fun. And then you can actually apply that to the state. We did that in the Brawl period and the Smash 4 period. But it's stressful because you're like, well, I want my event to be that 100-man event. Why can't it? And I get that does suck, but at the same time, it's celebrate the wins you have and build up. Be surprised you get to the 100-man. Because guess what? Tuesday Trials and Donato's Fight Night, it was bonkers to just hit 50, and now it's easy to hit 50. Now 50 is a bad day, but the point is we had those days of 50. Today at Donato's, we'll get days where we have 30, and there's been a couple times where we have like 4. And this just happens. And it's like, well, if Tuesday Trials didn't exist, maybe Donato's would have had that 4. And it's like, yeah, short term, okay, but long term, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I don't want to change topics. I want you to have your say on this, but that kind of goes back to our venues being blessed. Game Arena, when they charge per head. But Game Arena, both Donatos do things based on how much food sales they get, and we have such a good personal relation with them that if we're short 1 week, we're not going to get thrown out of the venue or have to pay extra. They just know it's like, oh, it was a bad week, but it happens, kind of a thing, because we have that relationship with them and stuff.
Yep.
Did you have thoughts on players? I talked a lot there, but
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So to piggyback on the numbers thing, like a lot of people tend to like focus on like the attendee numbers or whatnot. Well, this is actually going back through the history of between Tuesday Trials 100 and 200. Tuesday Trials between 100 and 200 did hit regularly 120 and 130 people at some point. And that is when we had to downsize because
right.
of the stress of size. Yes.
Yeah, this is a very good key thing you're looking at. So
Yep.
I'm gonna say post.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can keep talking. I'm just
Okay. Yep. So we were on an upward trajectory pretty steadily. Pretty much from, I would say, like Tuesday Trials 10 or 20 or so. Because I mean, we had that huge peak right at the beginning because it's new and everything else. Then it dies down. Then we get the regulars, and then we figure out what the regulars are, and then it was just a steady increase over the years. And then between Tuesday Trials 100 and 200, we were peaking pretty high. At first it would be like, oh, we're hitting 80s and 90s. That's kind of pretty impressive. And then we started hitting 100, and then 110, and then 120, and then we're starting to hit like 130. And that was putting a lot of pressure on the event for a weekly, right? So it was getting almost to the breaking point, and I could tell that just from my experience, from like what people were saying. They're like, it's getting a little too loud for us, and just a lot of little comments here and there, right? Nobody out and out just saying like this is a bad local, but you could feel the breaking point kind of come into play. And
yeah.
Carrot, Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna comment that it sounded like an Avalanche thing. It's like,
Yes, exactly right. So, so Carrot and I got together. We're like, we're gonna need to start like splitting up the local, right? Just like what we did with Donato's, right, back in
right.
the past. So, and that is when the Smashland idea started getting thrown around, and we were negotiating that for a course of probably about 3 months or so. Is when we're talking about that, trying to figure out what the way forward was going to be. The number one thing, and I cannot stress this enough, I am so thankful to the Smash community because they are for Tuesday Trials specifically, I know, is the number one news source of players that we get. So, not just to Smash, but to also classic FGC stuff. So, a lot of our top players would not be here if it wasn't for Smash. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
Is it
Mooney,
because sorry?
Jack World.
It's
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
they started as Smash players, then saw the other games. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yep. Yep. They start as Smash players, start to see the other games, and they come, right? And they still, some of them still play Smash, right?
Right. They just
Yeah,
they enter to
yeah,
like go 1 and 2, become pop monsters like everyone else. But it's
right,
like,
exactly. So, but like even from the Smash community, like our top players, a lot of our top players have been from Smash. So like Mango Copter, the famous heel of Columbus, he likes to play the heel, right? So
I see.
he came from Smash. So the first Tuesday Trials he came to was Smash Ultimate, and then he saw Guilty Gear Strive. He's like, oh, I also played that game too, and so became a Guilty Gear Strive player. Um, so Mooney, Jackworld were, I think, almost exclusively Smash players for a while, and then they smudged over to Strive, and now they're some of our top performers in Classic FGC. So I know Mooney still plays Smash at several different events. So too, yeah. So there's just a lot of like there. I lose track of all the different people that have shown up and stayed and then expanded their repertoire because of Smash. So, um,
So
yeah,
going
that's a big,
back
big thing.
going back
Yeah.
to the negotiations, who are you when you're
Yeah.
talking about that? Who are you negotiating with? Because
So it was between me and Carrot in terms of trying to like figure out like is it that point yet now or are we going to need to split, right? Then it was also involving Game Arena. Once we decided, yeah, we probably need to split, right? And then Game Arena, right, is were they going to be okay with it? Because obviously, from the business standpoint, the more people that they get in, everything else, is this going to be useful as an endeavor for them as well? And will it collapse Tuesday trials, right? Because, like I said, Smash. The reason I was going on about Smash community is being the main source of new players is that is what drives like continued growth in Tuesday trials, right? We don't want to collapse Tuesday trials because we split off Smash completely, right?
yeah, and
So,
to give a
yeah,
reference, technically Donato's Fight Night collapsed with the split of Tuesday trials, because
right.
that just kind of became the new gateway entry point, and then we fell into a log slump where Tuesday trials was doing okay and Donato's barely got to like 10.
Yeah.
But then we did catch up because I'm stubborn. But the point is,
Yes.
you don't want. But the thing is, like, I'm stubborn. Donatos is extremely cool with us, but Game Arena, you know, Game Arena has been. When your event gets to that size and they're expecting that much amount of income, they don't want to ruin that income. Even though, like, we ourselves are not really like paying Game Arena to get these places. It's more just on the food sales, but their budget and projections, they're all based on that steady 90 people split. And if you suddenly lose that, that hurts. Donatos is big enough that they're not going to lose that. Game Arena is not. Oh, sorry. Donatos is not going to care if a 100-man event drops to 0 because it's Donatos and tons of people use that space and it's Donatos. They're huge. Game Arena, not huge. Already closed the location. They kind of have to like have better plans and stuff. So now that I clarified that, back to what you were.
Right. So that was a big big discussion on that stuff. And then so then what we settled on was making sure that there is a Smash presence at Tuesday Trials. And so then the focus shifted for the Smash community. Is Tuesday Trials is like, oh, the newer players or whatever show up because it's lower entry fee and everything else, right? So we targeted more towards like the beginning level of players, and then Smashland came out, and that is where like more serious competition, because it's higher venue fees. They get more dedicated space, they get a dedicated stream. Everything else is like it's Smash. So that is the premier, supposed to be the premier Smash event, right?
Right.
And I
And
think that has worked out
it's
more
starting
or less.
to.
So,
I've heard mixed things, but the point is that
yeah,
Smash Land has the brand. It was the
right,
flagship at the other game
right,
arena.
right.
It's going to take a long time to get to where it was, if ever.
You're right.
But it's not. But the growth is. But the numbers are good. Is it great? I don't know yet. That's up to you guys.
Right.
But the point is that you can't just instantly start with great, and if you do, those are more likely to collapse than if you build it up slow anyway.
Right. Right.
Players have liked it. The split, I mean.
Oh yeah, definitely yes. For the Tuesday trials, yes, definitely people love the split. So it became a lot more manageable. So that also gave me an idea of where the limit is in terms of the Tuesday trials community, right? So, and understanding that limit gives me so much more
Clarity.
what's the word? Yeah, clarity in terms of how to plan the events and how it changes over time, which has actually changed quite a bit since Tuesday Trials 100.
Right.
So
We'll get to that part in a
yeah,
sec, but I guess the one part I
yeah,
wanted to talk about was
yeah,
the negotiations parts. I want to like clarify for
yeah,
the stream that we kind of missed out on. The third entity is the scene itself. Like
yeah.
we don't. I think this is bad practice, and too many people still do this. Like you can do this,
Right,
and I think there's a period where it's okay to do this, and I still kind of do it, but I kind of wish I don't sometimes. Is like, don't just backdoor these talks and then bust
right,
it out on the scene. The scene needs involved with these
right.
talks at the beginning. So you go like, you hear the snowball comments, and you go like, hey,
Yeah,
we talked with the other TOs. How would you guys feel if the Smashers had their own thing? Or are you going to be like, and you listen to their concerns and so on. Because there was a giant concern when we did Donato's split. Like, most were against it.
right.
And that's why I had to, like, negotiate it, even calling it, like, it's a trial event. That title sticked because it's a catchy title, but it's like, it wasn't until we actually did it, but still, if I didn't include them in that talk, they would have never given it a fair shot to begin with.
Right.
And that's part of this negotiation thing, because like you don't want, because the big disadvantage we didn't think about is that there were many smashers that entered other fighting games at Donato's, and they treated that fighting game as their like secondary, but it truly was their passionate secondary. It was like once you took that away from convenience, they were never playing it again, even though they were in it
Yeah,
every time. So that could easily happen to Tuesday Trials, where you have suddenly all your Strive and SF6 players gone and stuff.
right.
Um,
Yep. So yeah.
but
Oh, we did also have a lot of talks with a lot of players.
right, and that's I just kind of want
Yeah,
to bring
that
that
was
up.
really good. Yeah,
It's everybody's involved with that. So,
yep,
and then the other part is like some of the games got cut. And this
yep.
goes to what your limits were talking about and stuff. But
Right.
I want to, before we get more into the series stuff, because I want to talk about one other thing with the event thing, and um, a new thing I learned personally is sound execution, or sound as a resource. So if an event's too
Yeah.
loud or if an event's too quiet, that gets in the way of things. So my personal issue was I couldn't call brackets half the time because the Mario Party setup was right in the middle of the room, and
Right.
I have to yell
Yep.
over that. And it's like
Yeah.
they didn't want to take it from the stream area and stuff, but whether or not that gets moved or not, that's not the point. It's a party thing, but it's still the concept of like funneling sound. It's kind of like our new challenge. Yes, we could get gears. I don't like megaphones because of the feedback and the distortion, especially in larger venues. People don't hear you anyway. What did you have thoughts on that and stuff?
Yeah, sound is definitely a resource. This is also why we tend to like strategically set up TOs at different areas. so that if you're listening for certain types of brackets, players tend to know to congregate kind of around certain areas, so they'll be able to keep an ear out. Also, we tend to have runners that help us do our jobs. Like we shout out, like Heatherina was on Tuesday Trials 200, doing a pretty good job. Like when she would hear a match call out or whatever, and she'd like kind of keep an eye out and didn't see the player coming, she'd run to the opposite side of the venue to look for them. So stuff like that. But yeah, the sound as a resource is a big thing. I wasn't expecting the Mario Party thing to be as loud as it was, so that was
Yeah.
miscalculation on my part.
Well, or lack of transparency on Major's part. It's like,
Yeah. So
um, anything else about 200 itself from a reflection standpoint? Like,
200 itself.
it's one of those, like, at the time I gave it like a C minus because of the
Yeah.
tournament stuff, but really I'd bump it up to like a C plus just because being late sucks and players did get
Right.
DQ'd and we couldn't figure out something around that stuff. But
Right.
and especially this part, it's like,
Yes. Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like you don't want to cap it either. So I don't know what you do about that, but that's kind of
Right. The hard part is finding, I think, a way to better inform new players or players that are more adverse to larger, louder crowds, to know that it's going to be kind of crazy.
right.
Or, well, it is crazy. So, like, trying to get that out. So that was a failure on my part of trying to be more open about that with the newer players, because it's easy for me to communicate with the regulars, right? But trying to get that word out to new players or whatnot, I'm like, hey, this is going to be a big party event. If you want to see what it is normally, come to it on a different week, right? So,
Right.
And just to give them an idea of what they're running into, because I definitely saw several new faces. I was shocked at how many new faces are showing up for Tuesday Trials 200.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Um,
Hopefully they came
yeah.
back, but
Yeah, there's a couple that came back, I think, but I haven't seen I haven't seen several of the other ones, and I could tell they were kind of shell shocked when they got here at Tuesday Trials 200. They're like, "What is this?" So I'm like, and I tried to apologize. I was like, "This is a big party right now because of the 4 year. It's a 4 year thing." But I don't know if some of them quite got the message or not. So
the only part I'm gonna add to this reflection.
Oh
stuff,
yes, that this has to be put in there for sure. Oh my gosh,
I'll let you tell the story.
Okay. So, from my perspective, like the Tuesday Trials 200, I was trying to juggle several different things, and I'm like, okay, let me keep track of several stuff. TheKiest was 100% on board with his communication and letting me know of problems. One of which was Street Fighter 4. When he looked at the bracket and he said, "Oh, Sente, we now have 34 entrants for Street Fighter 4." I'm like, and it clicked him. I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to do something about that." I said, "All right." About 30 seconds later, I forgot because I was distracting myself with too many things. I was like, "Oh, neat. Yep, that's literally yes. I did say neat. Yeah, that was what I said." I was like, "Oh, neat." I'm like, "Cool. I'm gonna have to plan for that," and then I just promptly forgot. This happened multiple times during the night, but it started with Street Fighter 4. So, and that
Was it
is
just an off day, or you think you were just tired, or
it was
exhausted
it was an off day. I was a little tired. There is a little bit of that. But mostly the reason it was an off day, there's a reason for the off day, and that was due to my management. I should have noticed I was at my limit in terms of keeping things track in my head. I have noticed this as I'm getting older. I am not as able to keep everything in my head as I was when I was younger.
Indeed.
And I overestimate. I need to write notes.
Yeah, or get
these
this
things
program.
Yeah.
Like I did a little like this is now part of my teaching how to TO is download this and use it. Just to show Notepad++, just something to...
Oh, Notepad++, yeah, I have Notepad++,
right.
yeah.
And the reason I love Notepad++, because it doesn't actually close your tabs off as long as you save it. Like, all these news are just stuff I haven't saved because they're not important enough, but they're important-ish enough. And there's all, like, this is Devo from 2023, for crying out loud, and it's still here.
Yeah.
But I always do this for Cliff Notes, and half the time for people, and this is the hard part, if you have a good memory, you're like, I don't need to write it down. I got good memory.
Yes.
But writing it down, I don't have to look at this again. Because I wrote it down, and I remember me writing it down, and I remember seeing it. And once I see it, then I'm like, yes, okay, I did that stuff. And, and then for longer stuff, then you start doing templates and things. Like, all these OPERIs all start with me copying and pasting this part, and then we just plop it in, and so on. Which is how this thing started, and it's all done. But anyways, point is that the thing you didn't finish is that what's the third? I brought it up. How many setups did you give me?
So I was only able to give you one setup at the beginning, and that was because of lack of planning again. Because it was the neat, and then I forgot. And then so when I was scheduling other things, I was like, oh no, because I was still thinking of. Or I was still on the track of, we have 14 entrants. I could do one setup right now and then bump it up to 2 and 3 in a little while. But that was definitely not sufficient for the size of the bracket. So, that was that was bad.
And then because of that,
and
then on my end, because of that, I had to like do an emergency thing where it's like he's had to delay Tekken significantly in order to make sure that thing was gone. I had to convert one of my setups, and there were players that were in both, and I had to like make sure SF4 got through before Strive started, which good thing I did because then Strive started, and so on, and everything else on top of it. But it was just kind of like, you know, it's one little thing. It's like if this was done right and he even has 2 setups instead of 1, that changes everything. But that didn't happen. So then it starts late and so on, and then you find out one of the setups is busted and blah, blah, blah. But don't get tunnel ear, kids. It's not fun.
Definitely do not get tunnel ear. Oh my god, that night was all tunnel ear over and over and over again. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I've lost track of all the different stuff that I had tunnel ear on that night. So, yes, it was all night long. It was probably one of my worst instances of tunnel ear in a while. So
at least it happened during a party tournament that you had help at, and not Saturday trials or.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing that helps to prevent tunnel ear for me is. One thing that I did not do for Tuesday Trials 200, but I do for like Saturday Trials and stuff like that is I rehearse.
Oh, okay.
So I'll plan out things. I calculate everything, calculate all the schedules and all that stuff. And then I go through disaster preparedness plans. What happens at this point in the schedule? If this goes wrong, what's my backup plan?
Oh, okay.
All that stuff. So those are all the things. Yeah, that's what I do. Because of, I know my tendency to get tunnel ear if I don't write things down now. It's like that is one of the things that I do to try and prevent that. Like, something popped up. Cool. I already have a backup plan. I don't have to think on the fly and then forget something else that I'm doing at the time.
Indeed.
Right? So.
All right.
But yeah, I did not do that for Tuesday Trials 200. So you got to see Sentei's tunnel ear in full blown glory or disaster.
This is why we do this video and stuff, because there's plenty of players that think that we run things amazingly, and the truth is sometimes we don't. Just like players don't play amazingly 100% of the time. What you're supposed to do is you go and review and talk about it and take accountability as best you can and so on. And because it goes back. People did have fun, so that's important for the event and stuff. But they could have had more fun if we had this not happen. That's all we're trying to say.
Yes.
And you might have had less of this happen because of it.
Yes,
too. So,
I think so.
So like to me, these were like the two big parts, but
Hmm.
everything else, great. Like it's amazing how refined everything is. Like with you're used to doing 90 because of the split, and it's almost doubled, and it's easy to get back into what you were doing before the split. It's like,
Right.
um, and the Smashers, lots of staff there. So you had because all the big guys showed up. You had Mindset, you had Dave Bot, you had Carrot, um, you had Quaggles and Mike Drop, as we talked about on stream duty. You had many of the trainees like Foresight and Mitt and Ikinfuma that could have stepped up if things were to happen. It's just so many. And this is why you train people. So many safety nets, right? Like
Yes.
so many nets. Yeah, someone falls, you catch them, you put them back up there, and keep going with it and stuff.
Yep.
And of course, it's easier said than done. It takes a long time, but always invest in it. It's kind of what I say with that part. But any other reflection with the series? Because I cut you off before we talked about Tunnel
Okay.
Leader,
Yeah.
and that kind of stands out.
Yeah.
I
In
guess
terms of the series, let's see.
I think you were about to talk about your limit and what that does for like your scheduling and everything.
Oh, right, yes. In terms of the limit, so people at Tuesday Trials specifically, right?
Yes.
I'm talking about the Tuesday Trials vibe that players expect. So when Tuesday Trials first started out, it was, a bit smaller. It was mostly Smash, right? Not so much by the other FGC. And I was trying to figure out how to grow the scene.
To put in timeline for people,
Right.
Strive barely just came out.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
not even a year ago or something like that.
It was like maybe a couple months or something like that.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
it.
Right.
So, yeah. So it was just barely out. So we had pretty small numbers for FGC side like Strive. It wasn't unusual to have less than 8 people, right, on a week, and that was the early days of Tuesday Trials before Tuesday Trials 100. And the way that I was trying to grow the scene was trying to do like more casual things and everything else. It just wasn't clicking. So then I started just adding more brackets. That's what started getting people to come out. And then that just kind of snowballed into Tuesday Trials is the bracket scene, right? We just run tons of brackets. That has been the number one reliable way for me to grow the scene. And so people come to Tuesday Trials more with the mindset of they're going to enter a whole bunch of brackets, unlike other scenes like Donato's where people go and play a lot of casuals, right?
Oh, I see.
Right.
So do you
Yeah.
know the number of how many games on average a person enters at a Tuesday Trials?
So we had to cap it. So now, before on average, it was about 3 to 4 games on average. But we would have players. It wasn't unusual to have players joining 6 brackets, right? And most of those weren't a problem. Because we could eliminate people out of a lot of the brackets. It was the ones that were really good at a lot of the games that held up a lot of the brackets, right? So, but yeah, it was on average literally 3 games per player a night, right? And then when we started capping it, and this is where the unintended consequences happen. When you start imposing limitations, when we started first capping the games, I capped it at, I think it was 5. I think we capped it at 5. And when I did that, the average games per player went up to 5.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I was afraid this was going to happen. So everybody kept telling me, we need to cap it. We need to cap it. I'm like, I don't think I want to because I know how human psychology works on these things.
Yeah, that
It
happened.
got worse.
That now that I think about that, that actually happened with Donato's back in the Smash 4 days. We capped Smash at 64, and once we did that, we consistently hit 60 players every week
Right.
instead of like some being 80 and others being like 30. It was just consistently 60. Yeah, something about you get freedom to do everything, but then if you threaten to take it away, then it's like, well, I don't want to take it for granted. I want under 5. I could get.
Right, exactly, right.
Or you're like, you know what? If I'm tired, I'll just DQ, which I'm cool with
Right.
that, to be honest. Keep
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
keep doing
yeah.
that. We want the numbers because that gets more players
Right.
to enter and stuff.
Yeah,
So all right. So
exactly.
what did you do after that then?
So then, the problem is since I already knew what was going to happen is when we capped it at 5, and it just made the problem worse. I couldn't release the cap because now people are used to joining at 5, right? So I'm like, crud. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to make it much more strict. So then we went down to 4. It wasn't quite enough, and we went down to 3. And then after a while of going to 3, um, conflicts weren't as bad. And then that is when I discovered exactly where the worst conflicts were. And that was during our stream brackets, which was I was suspected anyway, right? But stream brackets with several different players that would enter all the stream brackets and do well in the stream brackets. So then I relaxed the restriction a little bit and went from 3 to 4 only if you didn't enter 2 of the stream brackets. If you entered 1 stream bracket, you can enter 4 games. If you entered 2 stream brackets, you can only enter 3.
So the better way to look at it is you can only enter X amount of main games and Y amount of side games, essentially. So
Exactly right. Yep. So that's what I did, and that has solved our conflict problem.
Which is incredible
Right.
because it's a 90-man event that runs so many brackets and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
obviously,
right
the players are cool with it because if they weren't cool with it, the
Right.
numbers would have dropped to post
Right.
Donato split and stuff. And
Yes. Yep. So that's where the current cap is in terms of regular Tuesday trials. For Tuesday trials 200, I forgot I did change the cap and increased it up.
yeah,
But
that's part of the event.
I did know that the majority of players are not going to enter more games because they got so used to the
Sure.
right. So it was mainly meant for those players that really just wanted to go all out and just kind of like play a whole bunch or whatever. And there were a few, but they weren't the problem. That was not an issue that night. So oh yeah, that's what we had to do there. And with that bracket or with the caps on the brackets, and since we're growing more and more brackets to try and get more whatever, it started I wanted to see how far I could push it for Tuesday trials before we hit a collapse or before we hit the point of where it might start collapsing. And players kept wanting more and more brackets. And then we pushed it for a while for about like I want to say a 5 or period. I think
So just to reemphasize, once you had this
Yeah.
cap, you were then able to add more brackets despite people having.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yep. We're able to add more brackets. Yeah. Sorry, I meant to be more clear on that.
Yeah,
right?
because it seems counterintuitive, right? It's like you're already entering 3. Why do you want more brackets all of a sudden?
Right. And it was because the reason people wanted more brackets is because they saw people were coming out more, playing more games, right? Because more people were entering in more brackets because there was a limit, right? So they wanted to see their games played, and people were starting to play like more casual side games or whatever on the side because now we had the players coming out instead of just only focusing on the brackets, although still that's the primary thing that people focus on, it's the brackets. People were starting to like, oh, look, running brackets for these games, so they start bringing out their games to try and get a bracket running. And at one point, we're up to 14 brackets a night, or each week. So,
That's a lot.
Oh yeah, it was a lot. It was definitely a lot.
And this
but
is
I wanted
still
to see.
this is still happening when Smash was with you guys. Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. This is what's happening with Smash. Was with us, right? And then during the middle of this is when we split, right? And then we're still hitting 14 brackets after the split, but it was a way more manageable. So, but yeah, that was really hectic. So with the 14 brackets, people were starting. I could hear the comments again. I was keeping a sharp ear out for comments about just how hectic it is. I started hearing some of that. I'm like, cool. So then we started. We peeled back. Now we're down to 12 brackets. So, and we were we cut down to 12 brackets, and we switched it to like every other, or we had red week and blue week, right? So red week and blue week. So because people still wanted more brackets, but we could not fit all the brackets in one night.
Yeah, and if people want more brackets, this kind of helps more too, because then you get more games per month instead of per week, or per different games. Because something I've learned personally that I've said in my other reports is like doing a bi-weekly does get you more people on average than a weekly for the at least in Columbus. So you can still do something weekly, just each individual scene and culture you just do bi-weekly if you can, unless it's like big enough. Like obviously Smash Ultimate should never do that anymore, or SF6. But like, and Tekken was like that for a while, and now they're back to weekly, and then Season 2 dropped, and it's like, maybe we should go back to bi-weekly. I don't know, kind of. We'll see on that front. But anyway, so you added the red week, blue week. That also helped us at Donato's Fight Night. I'll just mention that part, because we were already...
Oh, okay.
Because that's how we... Because we got to balance it that way. Because like if a new game came out... Because we were also bi-weekly with that stuff at the time, which made more sense for that. But, you know, this way, if you're a uni player, instead of being in a crowded Tuesday trials every week, you can now hop. Or if you can't make Tuesdays, you can now go to the Wednesday ones. And at least you'd have something instead of nothing. And that's kind of what Donatos has always tried to do with events in general. That's kind of like our scope, is we're the blank canvas. We do what Columbus needs. So we rotated with Burst and Bruise before Tuesday Trials existed. They would get games. They would get first dibs on anime games. We would get the ones that they didn't want to run, or we get the weeks that they didn't want to run that week because they were on a bi-weekly rotation thing. So it was the same with... So we ran SF6 on SF6's off weeks, and we ran Strive for a little bit during Strive's off weeks, or Tuesday Trials would pick up Dragon Ball Fighters, and we would take it on its off weeks if the players were still interested, which they were at the time. We had around like 6 to 10 every iteration and stuff.
That's good.
But on the flip side, that does make it more confusing for players, which is why we backed away from that. But I still feel that's a training thing, and overall, kind of depends on the size. Donato's size doesn't make sense for it to be bi-weekly anymore. If we were back at our like 50s, I would probably make it bi-weekly again. Anyways, so what else? 12 brackets, new rotation of stuff.
Yep, so we did the new rotation because people wanted to see their games represented. But then that pressure, so we ran that pretty successfully for a while. I think that was pretty much close to I think that was a year, right? So, because there's so much pressure to get all these games and whatnot. But I think what happened is that people are realizing, it might have been because of that bi-weekly Donato's Fight Night. People are like, you know what? I think I'd rather just go to Donato's for some of these games, and then come to Tuesday Trials for some of the other games. And we're seeing a steady decrease in attendance in some of the games. And then a couple people were like, you know, I'd rather just start having a more consistent schedule, right? Each week. So then we dropped Red and Blue Week and consolidated around our current brackets now, right? And from what I hear is that the players that were playing these other games that were on a bi-weekly schedule were able to shift the scene to others in Columbus, right? And which I was like, that is great. That was my goal.
Yeah, right.
That was actually my goal as a TO, is to spread the wealth. Yep. Because I knew where our limit was for Tuesday Trials.
And again, right? This all has to do with our venue choice and our scope and stuff, and because, and it also goes back to my original point too. It's like, you and I both liked the bi-weekly thing a lot.
Right.
Players didn't. We listened to the players.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
And the scene's better for it. And we're doing less work because of it, and we're less stressed out about it. And it's like,
right.
Anything else as far as I don't know why I put planning. like that. But yeah, this. Oh, it's because that's how you were just phrasing it. So now you've kind of got this
Yep.
new formula, and you like the new
Right.
formula.
Right.
I like the whole. You guys have that like vote. So
Right.
like
Yep.
you'll have a thing
Oh,
that
right. Yeah. Yeah.
changes.
The Tuesday. Yes. Yes.
What do you guys
Because
call
we
that?
went. We call it the monthly trial.
The monthly trial. That's a
So.
good name.
Yep. So the monthly trial. So
And
because people still wanted their their games to show up, and we're going away from the biweekly, I was trying to think of a way to keep a rotating games, right, of
yep.
some sort. And Nigmus, shout out to Nigmus, he said, we should probably like do something like for a month at a time. I'm like, actually, that's a perfect time frame for it. I was kind of already thinking along those lines, but once he said a month, I was like, oh, monthly trial. I'm like, that is great. And to make it a more of a premiere thing so that people can feel good about their game being ran is the last week of the month, grand finals is always on stream, right?
Oh, that's
So it's
cool.
now, yeah. So it is so people get that month to practice and play and bracket, improve, and then finally get to show off your skills, hopefully on stream, right?
Yeah.
So,
And you get the
so that's what
commentator
we do
making
now.
a show, and
Yep, exactly.
yeah, I
So
think
that I like that. It's great.
yeah, and then something the Cincinnati scene, I think still does is this concept of branding a individual week within your month. I talk about this frequently. So their solution to dealing with the we want an event that allows players to come in that are new but not be ostracized by the cost or the top players. So what Cincy does is the final week of each month at Arcade Legacy, they'll call it the Big AL, where instead of a $2 entry, it's a $5 entry. And that becomes the branding, where now it's like, hey, are you going to come to the Big AL? Or, oh, you should practice for the Big AL. And then you get out of towners coming in where you'll get Columbus goes like, hey, you know what? Let's go to the Big AL this month. And then they got like a month to plan it, practice for it, train for it, and all that stuff. And this monthly trial does the exact same thing. And it's a catchy name. I kind of wanted to start to try to do something like that at Donato's, but I think Donato's were still at a weird, like, I don't want to call it an identity crisis, but we're at a more lean back speakeasy resting period. I think like Donato's is going to have its time again, but we're kind of on standby while everything else is kind of shifting around and doing stuff.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But with that said, I'll get more into that iteration thing. So, anything else from reflections on the series before we move to the next part?
I think that should be about it. I think that covers pretty much all the major points.
Yeah, let me check commentary again. Okay, no new chat stuff. So, we're going to talk about the event first when it comes to iteration. And by the event, I mean, I don't mean, obviously, the things that went wrong at Tuesday Trials 200 doesn't necessarily apply to what's going to happen at, it's fixing those problems is like something that's already integrated so that 201 didn't have those issues, 202. So what I'm talking about, iteration here, I'm talking about what do you want to do for 300 that you would change?
Change?
Change or add or that's why I'm calling it iterated. New changes, new features.
Yeah.
And this could all be dream stuff. And the cool part about this part is, and if you don't know, we can talk about more about the series itself, but it's about like what you're going to change on like the next weeks and stuff. It'd be fun to do this now, and then when we actually get to 300, you could be like, "Oh, well,
yeah."
we dumped that idea in the dumpster 2 weeks after we posted this online. So sorry, folks, if you're excited for that. But
oh gosh, honestly,
and if you don't know, that's fine too. It was just a question.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is the logistical side on my end is making sure I have more backup plans ready and everything else in case issues pop up like we did it with Tuesday Trials 200. I'll probably go through because I don't currently plan heavily for Tuesday Trials 100 or 200 or 300, but I need to basically because of how much or how much it blew up. I was not I was expecting 120 for
Oh, you poor sweet summer
200.
child. No, I was
Uh-huh.
oh man.
I was not expecting close to 150. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, so that puts it now on the level of I have to plan seriously for it, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
And you know, the cool thing is like as long
yeah,
as you treat it like a party, you can
right,
still have all the fun the day of.
right, yes, yep. I
And
just need to,
that's kind of why I put a wedding in here, because like planning for the
right,
wedding was incredible, but
right,
the um but then like once the actual thing happened, it's like all that work's done and everyone's just having a blast, and it's like most of the stress is just gone at that point. And so I think you can kind of do it like that.
right,
Because that's kind of what this is, right? It's our birth. It's Tuesday Trial's birthday. It's its anniversary.
right.
It's big thing. Treat it like that.
Oh,
And I think there is some seriousness to that kind of thing. So that's probably a great start with it. You just I'll actually treat more serious planning for the party. There we go. Let's do that. Because that way,
yep,
it's because you're right. If more people are on board, then we can have more talking about that stuff, and contingencies are a thing. It's easy for a TO to be like, I just want to relax, but it's like, not for us. Nope.
yep. Nope. Especially not for these types of events. Like we have to like, okay, got to be on our game, so that everybody has fun. Beyond that, I am actually just mostly looking forward to what crazy stuff that players are gonna want to do again for the next one, because each 101 has been crazier and crazier. So I think Tuesday Trials 100, we had the Jenga or whatever money match thing going, and something else I forget, or that might have been a Tuesday Trials. I forget.
I would like something more
Yeah.
involved with the group.
Yeah.
Because the thing about the Mario Party thing is, like, you hear them talking about how excited they are for it, but I couldn't watch it. I couldn't be part of it. The stream probably had fun, and they had fun, but it's like, you got the mystery event, and so I guess my point is maybe add, like, for example, when I did the Power Cup, which was a it was a tournament for just PR players, but spectators could come and fill out, like, March Madness brackets, or... Well, not even March Madness practice, but they actually got to fill out predictors where you got to pick 3 players you thought were going to do well, and you also got to pick 3 players you thought were going to suck, and you got points whenever those 3 players lost, which that was incredible. Because there were definitely players who did upsets, and they relished in the idea that they ruined the side people's day because they kept winning stuff they weren't supposed to. And it's like, and that fueled the fire. And it's like, but I guess what I mean is I kind of encourage you come up with something, and this is something that your community has to do. Something that, like, everyone can do all at once. Obviously, the cheapo one is, like, gift raffle stuff, but we're fighting game TOs. We can come up with something clever, I think, where everyone's, like, mildly involved. But then it's, like, it doesn't take a lot of time or resources to do it, either. I have ideas I'll be doing for Cockatoo. I'm not going to mention in this chat. That's for a different day. But I've already mentioned those ideas to you already. But stuff like that, I think, would make it spice it up a little bit. So
yes.
I'm gonna...
I think I've already got another idea now.
Cool.
Now that you're mentioning that.
Which you can talk about now, or you can save for another day, but...
Yeah, I think I'll save it for another day as a surprise.
Yeah.
So... Well, you gave me a couple seeds for ideas. So.
Right. And you can tell me off stream, too, and stuff, but...
Yep, I definitely will.
Yeah, and then, like, the other part you said, too, was the more... You had good transparency, but even more transparency.
Yep.
Which includes resources / script for new / I'm just calling it shy for better lack of term. It's obviously not just shyness when it comes to player size stuff.
Right.
But the idea is, like, if something's in place, it's like, oh, okay, this is the party. Here's our info on, like, when we actually do the other stuff. Sorry you picked a bad time to come. Just something like that.
Right. Right.
And, you know, we I need to just get someone to just do the damn business card stuff for our scene in general, and I just don't. Maybe you should just do it, and then they can include everybody, not just trials.
I might take that on.
But
So.
or delegate someone if you can't yourself, just that kind of a thing, and you can get every event involved with it. Really, they just have to get to the QR code for the Discords and the Ohio FGC site where we put everything, and everything can go from there. I need to just make a primary to Columbus too, where you go on the Ohio FGC webpage and it's like, hey, you're new to Columbus fighting games, read this, and then it kind of gives you go to trials first, figure out what game you, unless you already know what game, like if you know what game you want to play, go to these weeklies for their game. If you don't know, go to trials first, and then they direct you from there, kind of a thing. So on. But if all that's in a nice, digestible thing, then that's something you give out. Everyone can give out to anything, ever. And we're all covered. So, yeah, and I think, you know, you kind of spent on an earlier rehearsal part. I don't do as much rehearsals as you do. I probably should. But that just might be a more strength-weakness thing. I'm better at flow, I think, like when things go wrong. I don't need as much planned out ahead of time, but that's a more of experience dictating that kind of stuff and reading the atmosphere a bit about it. But, I mean, you can tell me from your perspective for helping at my events and stuff.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah. For me, it's honestly because of my military background.
Right. Yep. No,
we always have contingency plans, so I am so used to doing that.
You are trained to be a machine, so
yes. Yep.
Act like a machine. So yeah.
Right.
Which works for this. Yeah, a lot of, and I'll just say for the record, a lot of great TOs I've worked with are all like vets that have served the country and served time and stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
Before I get to Syria, Guffy Fish says Jenga 100 Jenga was a movie, and it's like, but I want to be part of the movie.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I guess the final part. Iteration for the series. Anything you kind of want to like poke at that you want to publicly say or not say, or well, I guess you can't not say it, but.
Right, yeah.
Which, you know, you don't have to go super in depth into this because it's all. And if you're not sure, I can go first.
Yeah, right now, since we've only started doing the monthly trial just recently, I think that's going to be a brand, though, of Tuesday trials. Like, we are going to do the monthly trial thing, just going on forward, because it's been.
So here's
so successful,
right?
Yeah.
And I agree with that, and I'm starting to see it a lot. So I want to add the caveat, and I'll offer this myself, and I'll review it with Stove and the other, or with the others at Donato's. Is my thought is, at the end of the month, if players really want to keep the game going, we figure out where it belongs.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. Yeah,
and we actually like do that, and go like, hey, if you really want this game to continue. We can do it at Donato's, or, maybe Melee likes it for some reason, you do it there, or Level 1 has room for it and you do it there, kind of a thing. Or the, I can't remember who runs it. The guy who runs the library bi-weeklies.
The Westerville one. Oh, yeah. Good grief.
Right, the Son of God or whatever. I forget his real name.
Yep.
Anyways, the point is, like, you actually have that conversation at that time.
Right.
And, to be honest, if you're a player watching this, we're not trying to pressure you into being like, oh, yeah, I use this to come to Donato's. It's, if you guys actually really like the game and have fun with it and want to treat it seriously so that you can get better at it or go to Combo Breaker, like, us organizers are here for you to do that. And we know it's easier to come to Tuesday because it's only one event to do that. But if that game really clicked, imagine if Sente didn't do that with Virtual Fighter, then Virtual Fighter became one of these month things.
Yeah.
And you want to keep playing Virtual Fighter, where else were you going to do it? We would do it at Donato's, kind of a thing. And we have the room for it, and we have the time, and we have the players to do it. And we're more flexible who gets to run it. We can run it for you, or one of you guys can designate to run it. But I think integrating this would be a cool thing to try, I think. Especially with how popular this part's been getting. Because I'm sure there's burnout at the end of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or not burnout, but like... Morning, almost.
Right. Yes. Yes. For example, one of the first ones that we did, I think it might have been the first one, was Pokemon Close Combat.
Okay.
Right. Several people have said, "When's Pokemon Close Combat coming back?"
And the answer is probably
So,
never.
yeah. So we'll see. If people want Pokemon Close Combat, like, and actually grow a scene, then yeah, continue bringing it to scenes, talk with TOs, right? It's so that the reason for the monthly trial was to get people to just try out games and everything else, and you never know what's going to catch on until people actually like sit down and play. So
So yeah,
oh
and then that leads
yeah,
to opening that kind of thing. Like this is something
right,
um, we're used to doing that in the Smash scene. Like we would have like you're running Smash usually just runs one Smash game and one Smash game only, and then occasionally you get some nut job like myself that goes we're running all of them, or we're running all the sided games that happened at this one event. In case you guys missed stuff, because like I had a brand of like the TheKiest side event, and part of me almost got to the point where it's like I could almost run a TheKiest side event day if I wanted, and people might show up for it. Maybe only like 20, but those 20 would have a blast. All these are options the scene can do and stuff. So as you're watching this, if players do actually go and watch this, it's like kind of think about ideas for us and stuff like that. So that was my thoughts: is branch out this because it's becoming awesome. Because everything else you guys have, it's already kind of good. It's like SF6, it's the SF6 scene, so they just want a simple bracket. Anything extra comes out from that, but doesn't have to like be added to Tuesday trials. For example, at this time, we've got the Mid-South League put on by my friend Zyzen, where SF6 players from Ohio fight against others from the States, and they'll go to Game Arena to train. They'll use the Tuesday Trials to train and to recruit people. But we, as Tuesday Trials organizers, or Sente and his crew, they don't have to be as strictly, directly involved with that kind of a thing. So instead, it's more of like, what can Tuesday Trials as the series do to get different? If it even needs to get different. Sometimes a good iteration is you don't need an iteration. But with that said, any other thoughts on your end? And if you're not sure,
not sure. Really, the monthly trial, since that's fairly new, that's the direction I'm heading right now.
yeah,
So it's just trying to focus on what we can do from there.
to
But
spice
yeah,
it up and
surveying
stuff.
would continue. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I guess the only thing we kind of missed in reflection is this is a very important thing that changed is you started training people.
oh right, yes. Yes.
Now,
I've trained quite a bit.
before
Yes.
we get to what yours does, I'll summarize what the Smashers did. The Smashers kind of do what everyone else does, which is completely fine. Is you had mindset start with it. He teaches someone, or someone gets inspired to take over, and then it becomes like a chain, and that works, I think, too. It's not how I do things, but it's kind of becoming how I do things because of the nature of Donato's Fight Night and me being, I could pretty much didn't do a lot of TOing for like a good year last year. And then that time's only going to get kind of like lower as I get my drastic life changes and stuff. But the point is that what you're doing is a little different if you want to kind of
Sure. Yes. So
5 minute explain it, I guess. But
yeah, so what I've done is I've been putting together a document. It's still a work in progress in terms of all the techniques that I know of or have heard of, and start incorporating it in a formalized document of how to use it at events. And that is the blueprint for the standard what TOs should be doing at Tuesday trials. And everybody who wants to start becoming a TO, um, I point them to the document. I tell them to read the document, right?
yep,
So then have them come to me with questions about the document. We'll review the document, and then I have them start running one bracket using those techniques, and I want to make sure that they use those techniques for that. So it's actually like a more formalized training process, so that everybody starts off on the same foot. Like no matter which TO comes on board, if somebody else trained the TO, whatever, I know that there is a minimum level of knowledge I can assume everybody has, right? That helps out immensely. Instead of like, oh, have you seen this yet, or have you done this yet before? It's like, nope, everybody should have a very specific baseline of knowledge, so that, like what you've said before, you can just slot somebody as a card in the deck, right?
Yes.
So that way it's standardized training, because there's a lot of stuff that'll happen if you don't have like documentation or something like that to get somebody started, right? They might forget something or whatever to teach somebody or whatever, and then that document over time could just be refined, right?
Right.
So it's a living document, so that
That's a lot.
we get all the best practices. So yeah, that is the number one thing that I'm doing in terms of the training for TOs.
Yeah. So
is
what
that.
result have you been getting from that since you started kind of doing it that way and stuff? Because
Oh.
the teams changed a lot from 100 to 200, I think.
Oh yeah. Geez, what has changed? Only names. That is it. Everybody, like, I can rely on anybody who has trained up as a TO to be able to run a bracket, and I have zero worries.
And you have
Literally.
zero what?
Zero worries
Yeah.
at all. So literally it's just names. Like, people come and go in terms of TOs. That has also reduced, I think, quite a bit of burn too.
Right. Sure. Because you get more rotating
So,
people and stuff, and
right. Yep.
and I noticed that in my own trainings too and stuff, and
yeah. So yeah, way reduced burnout. Like, Tuesday Trials is run very consistently now, even when I'm not there. Right.
which is
So
always great.
yeah, especially with just how dense the event is. Right. So it's a very consistently run event, which I'm really happy about. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing.
So in regards,
I can't stress just how good that is.
yeah, exactly. So with that in mind, that's everything you've done so far. Do you have
Yeah.
any iteration on that part you want to add to, or thinking about adding to?
On iteration, yes, actually, what I need to do, put more stuff in there for as like the quote unquote head TO style of overview in that document, so that I could more easily train people to take over my position, right? More easily, so that we have even more backups and all that stuff. As well as, the number one goal for that is so that people get comfortable running their own events. They want to start up a scene or run a little whatever, everything else, so that it could grow the scene on that. In fact, this just happened recently. I sent the document over to a new Indiana TO.
Oh, okay.
So, and they've been very grateful for that document, just to help run their one bracket that they run. So,
Excellent.
yeah. So it's just, I want that to be like, my document has to be, but the fact that it becomes more of a standard practice to have documents out there for resources for TOs to use to be able to run their events, because that just only helps out the scene. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think that kind of covers everything I wanted to cover, at least. Is there any other points you could think of for iteration?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, so we'll wrap up with final thoughts. Tuesday Trials, 4 years has been good. You're going to have your bumps, you're going to have your bruises, but the key thing is the 100 people that are going every week want the same thing out of the scene, and that included the split for Smash Lad, and that includes things like this monthly trial stuff. And
yep.
And how about you? Final thoughts for Trials?
All I know is that I'm kind of shocked at just how successful it's been over the past 200. And I hope it continues for the next 200.
Isn't it so awesome when the scene steps up and you get to do things like this? It's like,
oh yeah, I know. I never thought it would get to this point, honestly, just to the extent that it is now, and I cannot be more than grateful enough for all the players in the scene that allowed it to get to this point. So I've got a big smile on my face, even though you guys can't see it since I don't have a webcam.
Right. They all know the Sente smile, for better or for worse.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah, and then, you know, and it's cool. And the thing that, Sente will emphasize if he doesn't already, like, all this training that is going on is for the most part specific to him and trials. And the whole point of it, and this is true with like my own training stuff, it's more for you, and I'm pointing at the camera for the viewer, not you, Sente, but pointing at the camera, is enough to get you to do your thing. Because that's what I did here with Sente, is I trained him enough to where he could run events, and then went like, here's Tuesday trials, good luck with it, kid, right? But it wasn't like that rude about it. But the point is like, now you get to see what a Sente ran thing looks like. And that training is for Tuesday trials, but then it's meant for you to then expand out. So if you want to run, and we're okay with more weekend events. It's actually one of the reasons we don't run as many weekend events, is so that A, other players, other states can run events when they want, and B, if we want, say, a Nigmus event, and he's actually wants to run his own Saturday thing, we can get him that spot. We're fine with that kind of a thing, and then that can grow onto his own branches stuff and so on and so forth. But that's kind of my thing on it with the training stuff, is this is all going to be specific to running Tuesday trials so that it becomes cakewalk, and that way we can focus on other stuff like Saturday trials, how to make that better, how to do Kakato better, how to get our major in Columbus if players actually want that, which I'm not sure. That's up to you guys. Doing things like surveys, doing things that are more specialty events like the leagues and other fun stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah. I'll close this out. Thanks for this long talk and video. This will be put on YouTube pretty much immediately after this. I'll check the chat one more time. I don't think there was any more stuff to be said. So thanks to the viewers who watched at the time. And again, this is more of a podcast thing, so people can just listen to it if they want later on my YouTube channel, which I'll post everywhere if you're... Although then again, if you're listening to this, you already found the link, I guess.
That's true.
So, but yeah, stay tuned to more trials, stay tuned to more tension shifts, stay tuned to more Oporis from me and my own stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much.
All right, and catch you all later. Okay, recording stopped, stream's not done, but yeah, that went well. It's actually shorter.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, about 2 hours. No, actually, it's the recording. I have to check its time. How long was it?
About an hour and a half.
Hey, folks, Keist here. Hour 50, actually, but that's okay.
Hour 50? Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll timestamp it, all that stuff, so. Awesome. Yeah, the part I kind of want to do more, like, realistically, I'm learning I'm probably not going to be able to do Donato's Fight Night soon-ish.
Oh, okay.
More because, like, we want kids, and that's going to be a thing.
Right.
I kind of learned it from when I did the full, because I did 2 Donatos followed by 2 trials.
Yep.
And I was like, man, that's a lot. And try to do a Tekken Caliber, and I still even haven't announced Kakato, and I wanted to announce Kakato a month ago because everything's just been so slow. My point is everything's getting slower, so I kind of want to do more focus on, and I might even drop Caliber, believe it or not. So then I'd be just doing Devo and, I'm saying dropped in the same way a person says I retired from Street Fighter and then they're in the tournament 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... Yep. It's not anything serious, kids, if anyone's hearing this part. It's like, I want to do more TO Summit related stuff.
Okay.
Because you and I do this, and it's awesome. Doing something more focused on that with who's been trained and who's involved with staff and stuff. And not even to, like, plan anything, but more just to network it. And to, like, do this kind of stuff. So, don't know what that looks like yet. That's something I want to focus on myself. And then, obviously, I want to get the... I'm trying to get Grayonic and Longjong to do this for me, is get the survey out. Because I like surveying the scene every 5 years. And we haven't done one since lockdown. So I did one for the Trials 100, or 0, but that was more of just, like, a survey for that, not a survey for Greater Columbus fighting games, including Melee and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this would be like a super general. Like I go to everyone like, hey, have everyone fill this out. Like this is emphasize that the ratings aren't like mean we're gonna hunt you down or a TO loses their job or something.
Right.
Actually go like this is actually
Yeah.
important and it's good data and we want to know so that because sometimes the answer is we don't need to change anything.
Right.
But we want to know that's the answer from people. And we
Right.
know it's not a majority wins thing either. It's a get the climate down. Because
Right.
I know it
Yep,
for
yep.
Donatos, you know it for Tuesday Trials. I want to know it for all of Columbus.
Right. Yep. So yeah, that'll be good. Um,
But
one of the
yeah.
things I need to really do, honestly, is train more people to be able to take my spot in for Tuesday trial stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised that
That's
wasn't
big.
already your like final step. Like
Yeah,
your final exam
it's
is you run to Tuesday Trials like XXX or whatever. And
right.
it's
Yeah,
all you do everything.
right. The main reason is because of lack of volunteers, and I think it's because of how um, hard it is it's not really. They have the training to do it,
They
right?
do
For
have the
the
training
most
to do
part,
it. Yep.
right? So they have the training to do it. It's just that there's some type of perception which, like, oh, running all of Tuesday trials that's a real big step up. I'm like, well, it's not that much of a step up from what your guys are doing before. It's just a matter of
You've been
yeah,
glorified too much.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
Yes. Yeah. That's the issue. So like I'm like, like it's not that bad, guys, please. So for some reason people keep putting me on this pedestal, right? They're
Yep.
like, oh, that's just too much. I'm like, no, I'm serious. It's not. That's why I'm putting all this stuff together for you guys. So
I guess my advice
yeah,
for that is going
yeah,
forward, you have to make it just
yeah.
mandatory as part of your training.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll have to do that.
Or actually no, here's a better thing. You group them up because that's what I did.
Yeah,
Mindset
yeah,
didn't do everything alone. He worked with John Dog and Zedekai. And
yeah.
their final exam is they ran a Koronbasu between the three of them. So you can do the
Oh,
same
okay.
thing. You go like one person doesn't have to be the head. The head's just the role,
Right,
and you have the list of
right. Yes, yeah,
responsibilities. And technically,
right,
it's not really you. It's you and Major, or at least that's the
right.
impression I get.
Yeah,
So
yes, it is. It's
so
really me and nature now.
if
Yeah.
you
So
approach it that way, you might get more volunteers because then, especially if they get
yeah,
to pick, like
right,
oh yeah, I'll run it with this guy or that one, or
right.
I get to choose my
Yeah,
crew. I like even going
right.
that far would be kind of interesting too.
Okay. Yeah, I might have to do
I
that.
think if you present it like that instead, because then it's not all the weight on them, right?
Right.
Now you might get someone who wants all the weight, and that's fine. But yeah,
Yeah. So I think I should probably approach it that. I need to put some more stuff in the document so that it's a little bit easier for a transition because they're already like used to the other stuff. So it's like, oh, it's just these few other extra things that you have to keep in
right. And it is less than you
mind.
think because all the hard part's done. The hard part's usually getting your venue and coming up with your price
Right.
structure and getting the word out there, but all that's already done because I guess we've franchised it is the best way to put it.
Yes, I literally think of it as the TheKiest franchise.
Yeah, good lord. Uh, it hurts to hear, but you're not wrong. That's the.
Yes. So,
All right.
as well as your word goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
The Columbus scene. So